Hello ladies and gentlemen, once again this is Jeremy Smith, Photog J the Great. As you know, we've been ready to get started on some tutorial videos. I figured that I would start with basic exposure first. So the first thing that we're going to talk about is going to be aperture. Since I haven't done these types of videos before, I'm going to kind of experiment with the format a little bit. So of course, as always, feedback is helpful. And you know, if you have any more questions, you can always write me in the comments below. So as we progress through this, we're going to go through aperture and shutter speed and ISO and so on. So the first thing that we're going to do, of course, is aperture, because whenever you're shooting manual, generally speaking, that's going to be the first thing that you're going to adjust. Aperture is pretty cool. You know, it's basically the main thing that controls the brightness of your photos. So basically all aperture is it's your lens opening. And it's indicated by an f-stop. If you have a smaller f number, like say for example 1.4, you're going to let in more light. If you have a bigger f number, say like f11, you're going to let in less light. So I'm going to go ahead and show you guys this on a camera so you can see what settings to use. And I'm going to show you I'm going to show you a couple of sample pictures as well to give you an idea of what the f-stop or aperture adjustment does in your photos. Okay, this is where aperture begins, right here, with the lens. This is a 50mm 1.8 Nikon lens that we're going to use as an example. There will be more information about lenses later on in this series. This lens is in its wide open state right now, which is 1.8. As I continue, if I close this lens down manually, which this is something that can be done on this lens because it's an older design, as I close it down, you can see it going like this. So basically, this is an f-stop of 1.8. From 1.8, we go to f2, we go to 2.8, we go to 4, we go to 5.6, and so on. So the higher the f number you select, the smaller the opening. So actually you would think that a bigger number means more light coming in, but a bigger number actually means less light coming in. So that's the main thing that you know, that you should know about your f-stop. Now I'm going to show you how to change this on a modern camera. Okay, so on the camera, generally you'll have all your scene modes, and then you'll have like your auto mode. But the mode that we're looking for is a mode that says A, and A is for aperture priority. Now on most cameras you have a dial over here that shows all those settings. With this being a Nikon D700, the modes will change by pressing the mode button and rotating a dial. But anyways, your camera, it's going to look a little bit different. So right now I'm going to put my camera here on the A setting, like that. And if you remember the previous video that I just did, you will remember how the controls differ on different types of DSLRs. So if you wonder how to make this adjustment on your camera, take a look at that video first. Anyways, on my camera though, you can see here that there is an A right up here, and that indicates that we are now in aperture priority. So basically in this mode what happens is I can make an adjustment to my aperture, and on this camera it's the front dial, and I'm changing the aperture and the camera is changing the shutter speed. So you can see here this number on the left side is my shutter speed. The camera is constantly changing that, and then I am changing the f-stop. So basically this is a semi-automatic mode. The camera is going to do half of the work and you're going to do half of the work. One of the main reasons that you generally want to change your f-stop first is because if you're taking a photo, one of the main things that you want to know adjustment wise is how much of the stuff in your photo is going to be in focus. And that's something else that your aperture changes. A smaller f number, like in this case 2.8, does let in more light, while a larger number lets in less. But the other thing that aperture changes is how much is in focus. So if you're taking a portrait and you want to have that really, really blurry background, you can go down to a low f number, like say 2.8, or I could even go down to 1.4 on this particular lens, and the lower that f number, it's going to be the background is going to become more blurry. Now, if I were taking a landscape photo, I would want to go to a higher f number, like say for example, I might want to go to f8 or maybe even f11, and that way I can actually get more in focus. So that's basically the nifty thing about aperture. I'm going to show you guys a couple of examples of different f-stops, different apertures that I used in different photos, and that'll give you a better idea. Before we end this, one other thing I want to point out real fast is your shutter speed. Now you can see it changing over here. One thing that you want to do is avoid that being too slow. And anyways, you're probably wondering, how slow is too slow? Well, you are in luck. In the next video, we will be talking about shutter speed. Until next time, this is Jeremy Smith, Photog J the Great, signing off.